Hello and welcome to the Author Webinar Series, brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you are seeking guidance for your own author journey and want to reach your goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We look forward to connecting with you and hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this educational webinar event with the Nonfiction Authors Association. I am your host, Stephanie Chandler, and always appreciate you spending your time with us. We love hosting these webinars. Truly, these events and teaching are my favorite things I get to do in my daily life. So I appreciate you spending your time with us. And today we have a really special guest. We always love having the wonderful Joanne McCall with us. She is a professional publicist. She is just a wealth of knowledge. She's always one of our most popular instructors. She teaches courses for us, including the book Publicity Master Course, which she'll talk about at the end here. And for those of you who are live today, she will stay and take your questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box. That makes it a lot easier for us to find them because the chat gets busy. But I'll be there with you in the chat while Joanne presents. And in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over. And thank you so much, Joanne, for being here.
My pleasure, Stephanie. Thank you so much. A wonderful introduction. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We have people all over the world, I think, here. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and put it in the chat as to where you are located, because it's wonderful to see. Anything you write in the chat, I'll get a look at later. Stephanie's kind of keeping an eye on it now, but if you have any comments or whatever, I'd love to hear them. All right, so I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this. Talking about book publicity is one of my favorite things. And being in a room with all of you who are authors and writers or people associated with the publishing industry is just a true joy for me. And I'm, again, delighted you're here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the slides here very quickly, and we'll get underway with what we're talking about today. And let me just, there we go. So stop making the 5 publicity mistakes that keep great books and great authors hidden. And of course, what to do instead, because it's one thing to point out the problems. This happens in life a lot. People point out problems. Solutions, that's kind of another thing, but it's equally, if not more so important. We need to have answers to those pressing questions that we have. So how to pitch smarter, show up stronger, and turn every media win into momentum. So that's what we're covering today. It's brought to you again by the Nonfiction Authors Association and McCall Media Group. And we're both delighted. Stephanie and I are delighted to get together, put this together for you, and share the information. I think that's just such a great thing in life. When you're busy doing something, your expertise, there comes a point where you really want to share that with others. That makes it kind of full circle. So it's a true joy to be here today. So here's what you'll walk away with today. Why great books get ignored. How can that be? The hidden reasons some authors get covered and others don't. We'll also look at what makes media say, yes, this is what we want. So the signals that make journalists and producers lean into what it is that you have. Where authors self-sabotage. It happens, unfortunately. So it's good to have an eye on this. The accidental mistakes that make publicity harder than it needs to be. How to become unforgettable. I'm hearing Nat King Cole. Unforgettable. I promise I won't sing. It's a great song, though. We want you to be unforgettable. This is a bit about being a media darling. Simple shifts that make you clearer, sharper, and easier to book. And that's what we want. And then why one win is never enough. Now, this doesn't mean more. I have to have more, although we like more. But the point of this is how you can take one single media win and do a lot with it. You'd be amazed at how much leverage you have with just one single thing. So let's get right into it, shall we? Mistake number 1. This one is pitching without targeting. So important. You've heard how important it is to know the target market for your book, right? And if you find yourself saying, oh, my book's for everyone, you don't quite have it yet. It's the same with pitching media. It's not for everyone. You might have a great idea, but it's not for everyone. The wrong person gets your pitch. The right pitch sent to the wrong person it's still the wrong pitch. You got to make sure you not only have the right outlet, but you have the right person as well. And media can tell immediately when it wasn't written for them. So we'll talk a little bit about how to make sure that they know it's written for them. It feels generic. This is another issue. It's not well targeted. If your pitch could go to anyone, it will resonate with no one. You've probably heard that before. Generic pitches get deleted. And in fact, I've been producing a podcast, helping to produce a podcast for almost 9 years now. And I'm getting pitched all the time. I love it. It's like this 360-degree view of everything that's going on. So big publishing houses, medium-sized publishing houses, big PR firms, smaller PR firms, individual authors, they pitch. And I would say numerous times each week, I get a particular type of pitch that has to do with, I guess you might call it the hero's journey, or going from surviving to thriving. That's fine. But when you see it over and over again, there's really nothing special about that. It's you getting in and saying, how exactly, what is the story? What's the specifics here that makes your story more unique than everything else? And it has to stand out quickly because we all get a sea of information all the time. So if it feels too generic, it isn't going to work. You make them do the work. I see this too. So this is when you send your material and you don't give enough information to them. The media person, you need to provide them with everything they need to really look and see if this is a story for them, why it belongs, why they should cover you. It's your job to say what that is, not theirs. And this can be a bitter pill, might be too strong of a phrase, but it can be challenging when you're an expert. You've maybe spent years in school, you've done research, whatever you've done, you have experience, you've worked in wherever you've worked to gain all this experience, you know your stuff. Then you take all the time it takes to write a book and get it well done and get it published, all of this. It's a lot. And you might be feeling like, well, I'm the expert. They should be coming to me. And yes, they should be, but they don't know you yet. See, there's this gap. Once they know you, you can fit into that media darling place where they do call you because they know you. But until they know you, that's your job to get them to know you. A big list is an illusion. Some people will have a list of 2,000 names and they'll think, wow, and they'll spam it out to everybody. And there was a day when that sort of worked. It was never a good idea, really. But it sort of worked. You get some response, but now it can actively work against you. If you spam something that really isn't well targeted, they will not only ignore you, they may block you. And you won't know why. It's not like they're going to come and say, you know, you really shouldn't do this, and I'm never going to talk to you. You're not even going to know that. They'll just do it. So we don't want that. And you miss your readers. If you aren't targeting well, you miss your readers. So without targeting, you won't reach the outlets where your actual readers are paying attention. So you want that kind of alignment. So these are some of the problems that come without targeting well. So what do we do instead? It's really very simple. You build a tight media list where your readers already are. Sounds so basic, and it is. It's very foundational. The thing is, a lot of people don't want to take the time to do that. I've seen it over and over again because it is time consuming. I will say that. It takes some time to do the research and get it right, but it will so pay off for you. It's like doing the work on the front end. It helps you so much on the back end. So you want to begin here. What is your target market? Read, watch, and listen to. Where are they already paying attention? Those are the questions. Then you make a list. You build a focus list of the media outlets. And then you study what the media contact actually covers. Sometimes they're different. The outlet might be technology, but the contact might do more. I'm just pulling ideas out. They might focus in more on just AI. And maybe you have something about technology that isn't AI, it's something else. So there may be someone else more appropriate. So it's not only the outlet, you also have to do the research for the individual. Are they the right individual? Then you want to show why you fit in the first two lines of the pitch. That can be a little bit challenging, but so rewarding. Now think of your own inbox. How much time do you spend trying to figure out an email? You know pretty quickly if it's one you're going to pay attention to or not. That you know pretty quickly if it's important to you or not. And this is media to the 10th power. They're looking at what's important to them and deleting everything else because they're inundated at this point. You want to make it obvious why this outlet, why this audience, why this topic, why you. Okay? So that's mistake number one and what to do instead. Moving on to mistake number two. Mistake number two is being too vague to get a yes. We don't want to be vague. This is where you dial in to exactly what it is you have to offer. So sometimes it can be too broad. And the problem is the media can't book a general topic. They need a clear segment, angle, or conversation. And it's up to you to say what that is. So if it's too broad, it's something like, I'd love to talk about my new book on leadership. Leadership is a big arena. That's a big topic. So you have to say specifically what part of leadership. When you say, I'd love to talk about my book, this tells the media nothing about what the segment would look like. And that's what you have to do is say, this is what the segment would look like and why your audience would care and why they would care. Sometimes being too vague means it's too generic again. We saw this before. But this book helps people live their best lives. I hear that actually quite often, but best life, what does that mean? It can mean so many different things. So we want to get specific. And every author says this, my book will help people's lives, but it gives media nothing to work with. So you have to be very specific. Too general. I can discuss wellness. I can discuss personal growth. I can discuss mindset. If you have all three, that's a huge topic. Each topic individually is big. I mean, you have wellness. There's a lot that can be covered in wellness. Mindset, too. Where are we going with mindset? And personal growth. Just look in the bookstore at all the personal growth books. It was like, I was in Barnes and Noble just the other day, and it was just a huge wall, big. I don't know the dimensions, but it was big, trust me. Anyway, all on personal growth. So it needs to be much more specific. Or sometimes people are too passive. I'd be happy to talk about whatever your audience finds useful. They're going to delete that. That's just not enough to give them. This puts the work on them and they'll pass. Or it's too universal. This topic affects everyone. Probably not. Just like every book, one book is not for everyone. One topic is not for everyone. So you have to figure out what it is. If it's for everyone, it's for no one, and media needs a specific audience and angle. So you get the idea. Being too vague is not going to help you. So what to do instead? You offer one clear media-ready idea. And this is a challenge for some people. If you have a topic that has a lot of entry points, there's a lot of different things you could talk about. Some people are challenged bringing it down to one. And I understand that. And there actually is a workaround for that, which we can get into later, maybe in the questions or something. But there is a workaround for that. But you want to forget trying to pitch the whole book. You want to give a clear doorway into the conversation. So how do we do that? Name the tension. What's the problem, mistake, the myth, the question, the conflict? What is it? What are people concerned about? Then the promise of the takeaway. What will the audience learn, understand, or be able to do if they listen to you and have an interview with you and listen to your advice? You want to make the audience value obvious. Why will readers, viewers, or listeners care? You need to point that out. This is why it's important to them. This is what it will help them do. And then you need a little proof, right? You need, whether it's a statistic, it could be a vivid story or example, research that's been done. If it's an experiential book, sometimes it's your own experience. That can definitely prove things. That's your experience. Or a contrarian truth that they can headline. I've gotten a lot of use from using contrarian points of view. This is when pretty much everyone thinks this way, and you say, no, actually, it's this way. And then you have reasons why and how it's different and why that makes sense. That can definitely get you attention using a contrarian point of view. All right, moving on to mistake number 3. This is a favorite of mine, trying to wing it during interviews, because I see it so often, and I'm sure you have too. If you've ever watched an interview, maybe on YouTube or whatever, and thought, wow, that didn't work. Maybe you don't know why. Maybe you can't point exactly why that didn't work, but you feel it. You know when something doesn't work. You know. So we don't want that. So what do we do instead? Getting booked is only the beginning, and the real opportunity is what you do once the mic is live and the camera is live. So before we get into what to do, one of the problems is not having an interview launch plan. And people ask, well, what's an interview launch plan? What do you mean by that? You know about a book launch, right? Everybody talks about a book launch. You set your publication date, you do this launch around it, and all of that. An interview launch is your answer to the very first question that's asked. And that answer it sets the tone for everything. It does two things. Number one, it tells the listener, the viewer, if they're going to stick around for the second question. Because if it isn't something compelling, they're going to move on, right? And then the second thing it does is it tells the host where they can go with the interview, maybe what the next question is or where they want to take things. It gives the host great information as well. So an interview launch is important, and it consists of a story. You hope the interviewer asks the right questions. Please take this to heart. You are the one in control of the interview. Control is a strong word, and I'll get into that more in a moment. But you have a lot of influence and you need to take it. Hoping is not an interview strategy. And by that, you can't depend on the interviewer to lead you to the best material. They probably haven't read your book. Now some will, and that's a wonderful, joyful experience when you realize that someone's read your book and they know you. It feels really great. Most will not. This is just the reality of it. It's time consuming reading a whole book. So they may read your press kit. They might just read the one sheet that is sent, or they might only read the notes on the card from the producer or on the iPad, whatever they're using on the set. And that may be all they have. And so they go to what they know internally, their own internal experience in the topic of whatever you're going to be talking about, and ask you those kinds of questions. That may not lead to your key messages. And you don't want to just passively answer those things and hope for the best, because it doesn't work. So it's learning how to elegantly direct an interview, not like a politician, because sometimes politicians, they're asked a question and they will answer a completely different answer. They won't even address the question. I don't suggest that at all. But there is a way to begin to answer the question and lead it to something else. So this, you need to know how to do this. This is important. This is why media training is so fantastic. So you know your book, but not your message. What does that mean? Don't I know my message? Well, not necessarily. The answers can be too long or unfocused. This is why you need messaging. You get pulled off track and you don't know how to bring it back to a key point. We need to know how to do these things by having your key messages. So those are some of the problems with winging an interview and hoping for the best. So what to do instead? You prepare like a pro. This is really it. And again, you don't need to control the interview. I use that word, but you're not really controlling it. You don't have control of if they stop the interview. The host can do that. You can't. However, you have much more influence than you have any idea. It's true. So know your top 3 talking points, minimum. So that's, say, a 5-minute on-camera interview, whether it's virtual or you're in a TV studio. 5-minute interview, you're probably going to get 3 key messages across at the most. If you're doing a longer interview, maybe an hour-long podcast, you obviously need to know more. But at the minimum, know your top 3 points. Practice your interview launch. Remember, that's the answer to the first question. You don't necessarily know the first question, but you can practice some sort of story. You usually have a story that you want to share, and you can definitely practice that. Prepare other stories, examples, and sound bites. Sound bites really are, they're just simply a phrase or a sentence that is very robust. It communicates a lot of information in very few words, the complete opposite of being long-winded trying to explain something. Okay, it's very short. For example, I was listening to a podcast once with a woman who was an expert in relationships. And she was talking, they were doing their exchange. And as she explained something at the end of it, she just made this comment. She said, when it comes to relationships, perfection equals pure fiction. I thought that was brilliant, actually. That's a soundbite. It says a lot in very few words. The next point is you want to keep answers clear, concise, and audience focused. So even when you're sharing a story about yourself, you want to figure out a way to say it that other people can relate to it and kind of step in your shoes and feel what you're saying. You don't want to come across as just someone who's completely egocentric. I'm talking about me all the time. Yes, you're talking about me, but it's with, if you find yourself in this situation, here's what you can do. You want to communicate it in a way so that other people really get it. Then bridge back when the conversation wanders, as it can do. Sometimes a host will ask you a question that's completely out of left field, and you think to yourself, why are they asking me this? This is not in my book, and this is not anything we talked about in the pre-interview, and I don't know. Meanwhile, you have to be answering, right? So you want to start answering, but here's the key. Then you bridge it back to what you can talk about. And there are certain phrases you can use. There are certain key things you can do to easily do that in an elegant way where everyone will follow you, including the host. right? You don't want them digging in their heels and say, you haven't answered the question. That's not what we want. And there's ways to avoid that for sure. And then you want to leave the audience with takeaways. So they spent their time listening to what you had to say. Now we want them to walk away with very active things that they can do so that they feel that was time well spent. That was a good use of my time. I'm glad I did that. I'm going to go buy the book. That's what we want. And the more you give away in an interview, the more likely people will feel, wow, they shared so much in that interview. I wonder what else they say in the book. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to the next mistake. Here's a good one. This is so current. Letting AI write your pitches for you. Okay. So the danger is not in using AI. The danger is letting AI do the thinking for you. There's a lot. I use AI. AI is a great thing. There's much that you can do to help you in preparing what you're doing. But do not let it write pitches for you. That is the line to be drawn. There's so much that it can't do. It's not an oracle. AI is a machine. It's not an oracle. It doesn't know all. It's not giving you all the best advice. It will give you things that you can work with. You still have to be the one to discern, oh, this is good or no, that doesn't make any sense. You are the one to discern it. You are. So it can't determine what's interesting about you. It can't. It knows how to produce language, but that's different from knowing what makes you interesting and compelling. It can go and maybe search your bio or maybe look through your book or whatever and pull what it thinks is the most important. But that isn't necessarily the media angle that you want to use. That isn't necessarily the most interesting thing that you want to bring forth. And so that's kind of a waste of your time. The patterns are becoming more and more obvious as people use AI and receive. I got an email the other day and it was so clear. For one thing, it used twice as many words as a normal person writing would have used. Right. And when people send out pitches to the media that's like this, twice as many words, or everything's in threes, or there's certain punctuation that's used over and over again. They're just certain tells, and it will not serve you and it can actively work against you. So write yourself. And it can hallucinate and overstate things. We've all heard this one, and it's true. It's absolutely true. AI may invent credentials, facts, exaggerate claims, and this will kill your credibility immediately. And we don't want that. So you want to verify everything. If by chance you do get that kind of information, you think, ooh, this is an interesting statistic to use, make sure it really is a statistic. Because if anybody searches it, they'll find out, and that's what we don't want. It misses the real angle. AI may be able to research what's timely and trending, but it can't exercise your judgment. Like, why should I go to this outlet at this time? Why this particular writer, freelancer, journalist, producer, whoever it is you're going after? Why this particular person? Have they covered it recently? You might be able to find out that, but not necessarily. There's just are they on a certain trend right now? Or have they exhausted this particular angle and maybe I should go for a new angle? This is something that your own research can uncover. And it can also flatten what makes you compelling. Your point of view, a little tension, something provocative, they can be your greatest assets. And AI can come in and go and make it just all boring, smoothing it out. The words might sound good, but it takes away that tension. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want that tension. Sometimes that's the very thing that gets someone to say yes to you. Tell me more about that. So that's mistake number 4, letting AI write your pitches for you. Please don't do that. You can do that, but you can use AI for other things. So what to do instead? You can use it as your thinking partner. So you bring the idea. This is the pitch I'm thinking about. This is what I want to do. So you start with what you know, see, believe, and please don't ask for 10 media pitches because you're just going to get a lot of material to go through. Most of it will be useless. And a funny story. I was doing a little test and I had something a post I wanted to write or something about a particular topic. So I went into ask, can you write this for me? And I gave a little bit. And so something came back and so I engineered the prompt a little bit, changed it, and something else came back, changed the prompt, got something else. And then, well, I like this part of that version over there. So can we do it? It ended 2 hours later. I'm looking at this and I thought I could have written that in 15 minutes. So the idea that AI always saves your time, not necessarily. Sometimes you can be overwhelmed with material. I did a Savvy Sunday article on this very thing. I think it was just last week because it just happened. All right, ask AI to pressure test what you've written. So ask it what's weak, what's predictable, what's missing. and see what comes back. And it may come back with some very good ideas and where you could go, ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to add that. So you see, it can be your thinking partner. You can use it for research, have it identify trends, recent coverage, competing ideas, but then, of course, you want to verify. It doesn't know everything. Sometimes it fills in gaps. It's not an oracle, it's a machine. So remember that. But you can try it and then make sure you verify. Ask it to help you find the sharper angle. So here's what I'm seeing. What am I overlooking? What am I missing? That's always a good question. What do I not have right? What's going on? And then use it as an editor, not the author, and it can see where you're rambling, what could be clearer, what to cut. Again, you don't want it to write for you, but it can tell you, you're jumbled up in the middle there, or you're not really clear when you're explaining this, and tell you this would be better. And that's good. That's a good way to test and improve your own writing skill, but you don't want it to write for you. Okay, let's go on to the next mistake. We're at number 5. Getting publicity and then letting it disappear. I see this happen so often. You do mistake. It's mistake number 5. It might be number 1. I don't know. I see it happen a lot. Or someone gets an interview, they post it once and it's over. That's it. That's done. You could do so much more. So coverage disappears fast. As we know, media moves on instantly. If you don't amplify it, almost no one sees it. You leave social proof on the table. Interviews build credibility, but only if people know you've done them. So when you get those interviews, you need to share them, have them on your website. We'll get into what to do here in a moment, but just to keep that in mind, we want to use these things. You miss the multiplier effect. One interview can fuel weeks of content, pitches, and new bookings. Other media won't find you. Journalists, research guests, they want to see what else you've done too. You got to let them know. A buried interview doesn't help you get booked again. It needs to be there and present. And your audience loses trust signals. So people buy from experts they've seen and seen validated elsewhere. So you don't want to hide your wins. They need to be visible and out there. All right. So what do we do instead? One interview, maximum impact. So here's some ways that we can use that. Post it more than once. Does everybody know that? Do it. Lots of people don't. I run into this a lot. Most people share their media win once, and then they move on. So you can post it again. You could post it again a little later, a week later, a month later, and every time it's relevant. So maybe there's a story that comes up in the news or something that's happening in the culture that's being discussed, and it's relevant, this interview again. And you can say, hey, I did this interview. You can even share the timestamp. At 2:30, I talk about this. Or however, there's lots of different ways you can introduce it. But it's a way to bring it out again. A search result. Media coverage boosts your AIO and your SEO, and it makes you easier to find when someone searches your name or topic. Everybody's pretty familiar with SEO, search engine optimization. AIO is artificial intelligence optimization. And those third party, that earned media coverage is highly, highly coveted, if you will. It goes to that before it goes to your own media, your website, etc. And it certainly does that above advertising. Who knows if that might change down the road? Who knows? I don't know. It's a wild west in some ways, but this is where it is currently. A website asset. So you can add it to your as seen in section or your media page, which I always recommend having. It works for you 24/7. So if someone goes to your website, they see media, they can click on it, see all the interviews you've done, have links so that they can read it, watch it, listen to it, have them there. It's wonderful. A newsletter feature. You could share your media wins with your list to deepen connection and drive book sales. You definitely want to share that. People who have signed up for your newsletter, who are really interested in what you do and what you have to offer, they would love to see what kind of interviews you're doing and how you're sharing the information. They're your fans. Share it with them. So some more ways, we'll keep going here. More ways that one interview can pay off. It's a content machine. I love this so much. One interview can fuel weeks of clips, quotes, and sound bites across all the platforms. One interview. You can pull certain segments of it. There's so much that you can do. A future pitch tool and credibility marker. Past placements prove you're a bookable expert and open doors to bigger opportunities. I see this over and over again. In my pitches, I include links to things like this. It moves the needle, absolutely. It's a book sales driver. Coverage that lives online keeps selling your book long after air date. And of course, publicity it's not all marketing and sales driven. It's all about visibility, getting you out there, getting people familiar with you, being seen. And it can drive sales. It can. An AI visibility signal, earned media influences how AI tools surface and recommend experts in your space. We mentioned this. It's worth mentioning again. So those are the 5 publicity mistakes. Quick summary of them. Pitching without targeting, right? And remember, if you know that, you're aware, you have to target for your pitches, take it down a couple levels because it's not only the outlet where you want to make sure it's a match there. It's also making sure that whoever the producer, the editor, the journalist, whoever you're going after, you want to look at what they cover normally and go back a ways and just see, are there any trends? It's about researching and really getting into it and making sure that you're going after the right person. This is how you win. I'm just going to tell you, this is how you win. Being too vague to get a yes, right? That's the second mistake. The media can't book a general topic. They need a clear segment, angle, promise, or conversation. Trying to win it during interviews. Remember, we don't want to hope they ask us the right questions. You have to be the one to say what the most important messages are. Letting AI write your pitches for you. Again, we don't want to do that because AI is not an oracle. I like to say that. It's a machine. And getting publicity and then letting it disappear. One interview, you can do so much with just one interview, all kinds of clips and quotes. So be sure to do that. You have access to all this material. You need to use a few tools to put it into place. Maybe you have a social media manager who helps you. That's always good. But these are the 5 mistakes. And then briefly, your media success strategy is what to do instead. You're going to target the right media, right? Pitch only outlets where your ideal readers already are. Pitch one clear, media-ready idea. Give them a segment, not a subject, and make it easy to say yes. And then you want to prepare like a pro, so know your talking points cold. The importance of that is sometimes you'll be asked a question that kind of takes you off the course. And when you know your key messages, you're able to bridge that back to something else you do want to talk about. Use AI as a tool, not a ghostwriter. It's not going to write your book for you, and it shouldn't write your media pitches for you. It can assist. Make sure you learn to ask the right questions. And then amplify every win. Post it more than once and repurpose it everywhere. There's so much we can do. It's just fabulous. All right. So what's on your mind? This is the point where you can ask questions, or in a couple of minutes it will be. So as Stephanie mentioned, go ahead and put it in the Q&A area, which it makes it easier than going through the chat. So, or you could do an old-fashioned thing and write it down with a pen and paper. That's cool. Whatever. Sometimes low technology is the way to go. So start thinking about your questions now. We'll get to it in just a moment. But my experience is, and I've been doing this for a while, is that there are people who come to webinars who want to go a little deeper, and we want to make an offering that will allow you to do so and to come with me. So if you're ready to prepare to take your media success even further, here's how to get that attention. And we'll get to the questions, as I said, in about 2 minutes. So just give me a second here. It's the Book Publicity Master Course, and it's going to be starting very soon. Here it is, the course details. It's a comprehensive 6-week program. We dive deep into media strategy, hands-on training over 6 focused weeks to master your message. It begins August 18th. That's exactly 1 week from today. It starts at exactly the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you're in another time zone, you just have to work it out. But it's at the same time as now. I'll just put it that way. It's recorded for your convenience, of course. Every session is recorded and shared the same day, so you never miss a thing and you get the material relatively quickly as soon as you're ready to get it. And let's quickly look over weeks number 1 through 3. As I mentioned, it is 6 weeks, but week number 1, we're going to talk about becoming a media darling. So what is that? A media darling is when the media calls you. It's so nice when they do. Oh, we've got this subject coming up. Let's call so-and-so. They'll know the answers to that, and we love working with them, right? You want to show up like someone the media can't resist. So you build charisma, presence, and confidence that make interviewers want to interview you again. Then in week number 2, we'll uncover your unique message. This is so critical because there might be a lot of people speaking on your subject, but there's no one like you. And what is it that's unique about you and different that we can really highlight? So we'll discover what makes you genuinely different and learn to articulate your distinct value in a way that stops media in their tracks or close. Yeah. And then in week 3, we'll craft a message that hooks, because that's the other thing. If you can't capture attention fast, you lose it. We all know this. Master the art of compelling sound bites, stories, and angles that stick. This week is so much fun because when you start coming up with phrases and sound bites and things and stories that really connect with people and get them to lean in and say, "Oh, tell me more," that's a very satisfying feeling. Then weeks 4 through 6, week number 4, it's the Smart Pitch Playbook. This is where strategy meets action. Crafting pitches that cut through the noise and land opportunities. In week 5, you own the interview. This is the media training portion of it. You've landed it, right? Now you want to show up like a pro and deliver a captivating, impactful interview. So we'll talk about how do you bridge back when you are asked a question that's off, that's crazy. Why are they asking me this? How do we bring it back? This is, and something else. We'll cover any questions that scare you. Because some people, they don't want to be asked certain things because, I don't know, they don't want to go down a certain pathway, or there's something in their past that they don't want to be brought up. These are really very real concerns, and we've got ways to deal with those. And then week 6, it's ready, set, publicity. So we'll go public with purpose, confidence, and a strategic plan for maximum impact. The course includes the following. We'll have the weekly live Zoom sessions, so direct interaction. We'll have Q&A. The recordings and the slides come the same day, so we'll revisit every lesson at your own pace, and nothing gets left behind. We'll have handouts with examples, clear practical material, great stuff. And not only is it pertinent right now for a book you might be writing or have right now, but this material will help you in any future books and other things that you do in your life. It is helpful. And then we'll have a private Facebook community. What I love about this is if by chance you can't come to a live session and you watch the recording, you may have a question about it and you can come in a live Facebook group and get real-time answers because I'll be going in there and other class participants will be going in there too. It's really a fun way to connect and get to know people, buy each other's books. We often do that. You don't have to, but it's fun because you think, I want that book. And you'll meet wonderful new friends. So this leads into that. It's a network of authors who get it and who will cheer you on every step of the way. It's a lot of fun. So become the author the media can't ignore. Here's how you can join us for the Publicity Master Course. And I think Stephanie will be joining us here in a moment. And I think she's going to put the link in the chat here in just a moment. There she is. I love it. 6 weeks, real skills, real results, live sessions, and a community of authors. And your book deserves to be heard. So let's make sure that it is. So you can join the course here. Thank you. It's really been an honor spending time with you. I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate that you came here today. I want to say one other thing. Some of you may be a part of the Nonfiction Authors Association. Some of you may not yet, but I just want to throw my hat in the ring and say what a valuable group this is. There's nothing like being able to ask other people who are familiar with your situation and can offer advice that's really helpful. There's a lot of advice out there and a lot of advice on the internet. You can get lots of answers, but they aren't necessarily the answers for you. So we all need a place we can go to discern what is right for us. And this is a great place to do it. I just want to add that. Oh, and we can stay in touch. Did I add that? Yeah. Joanne McCall is my handle, and I'd love to know what you're up to. And it's your turn. What questions do you have? I'm going to stop the share here.
Wonderful job, Joanne, as always. Thank you. Someone in the chat had said, is the chat turned off? Nobody's talked in 18 minutes. Said, we're all captivated with your presentation, and others agreed. As always, a job well done. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. It was really fun.
If you have questions for Joanne, please pop them in the Q&A. We're going to start going through these. Matt says, suppose I publish my book and line up a podcast interview. Do most podcasters want me to feed them questions they can ask me?
Some do. Some do. A very popular thing these days is that many podcast hosts will have forms for you to fill out. It can get annoying after a while, and I probably shouldn't say that, but sometimes it can. I'll just be honest. But it's a way for them to capture about you, what they need. And so a lot of times you'll get a form to fill out, and they will ask you, what do you want to cover? Some will ask for talking points and some won't. Some will you'll just show up for the interview and there you are and you're on. So you'll just know your own stuff. So there's no one answer to that. It's a good question.
Do you recommend authors prepare talking points ahead of an interview?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of times when you're pitching them, you'll have it in there. You'll have your talking points, or in an interview, I can talk about this and then list several things, several different arenas that you can talk about. That's another way to share with them what you're about. So they definitely need to know what you're up to. And you definitely want to prepare. Yes.
I did a podcast interview just last week, and the interviewer sent me, which is, they don't always do this, but she sent me a list of the questions she planned to talk about. And I
Good.
was grateful because A, I could prepare answers, but B, she had one question in there that I read it 5 times and I'm like, I don't understand this question. And so it was a chance for me to send it back to her before the interview. And she goes, I don't know what I was trying to ask you. She thought it was confusing too. So they're also human, and yeah, it can go both ways.
Yes.
GH asks what info sources to use for targeting. So maybe that question is, where do you find sources to
Mm.
target for your pitches?
Yes. So there's a variety of ways to do that. There are media directories. The beauty of media directories is that you pay for the contact information. Some contact information you can get just looking at websites. It's a question you can ask AI too and see what it comes up with, although it isn't always accurate. So I want to say that too. You can go to various podcasts. If there's a podcast you want to be on, go to the podcast, research the guests that they've had, so that gives you an idea if you fit. And sometimes they will list how to reach them, how to contact them. They may have a submission page. They may have a form for you to fill out. There's a lot of different options, but figure out where you want to go and then go and research them. And if it makes sense to get a media directory, there are a couple you can get that are pretty reasonable. There's something called Listen Notes if you're interested in podcasts. And you can actually pay, I think it's 100, I can't even believe it. I wonder if they've raised the price. They will. But it's $100 for 2 days to go in there and get contact information, which is really good, by the way.
Yeah.
So
And
there's
then
lots of options.
and most media outlets, print, for example, newspapers, magazines, they make it pretty easy to contact them.
They do. They absolutely do.
Yeah, you'll find
Yep.
it on their websites.
Yep. Look for contact or
Yeah. Leilani says, thanks for the great presentation. Do you have
thank you.
suggestions for pitching a column or guest appearances in a local news outlet?
Oh, so you would want to write a column for a local paper? That's a
I'm
good
going to
idea.
assume the answer is yes. I'm going to pretend
Yes.
I'm Leilani. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I assume, and if not, you will study the paper, get to know the paper, what kinds of things they cover, look at the section where you might want to be. And then I would, if you could find a way to meet the editor, that can happen. Sometimes they go to events. Sometimes you find out that they're going to be speaking at the Chamber of Commerce or a neighbor association or something. Go, introduce yourself. There's nothing like one-on-one. It's so old-fashioned and it so works. When you actually meet people face to face, it can make a huge difference. So I would suggest that's one option that you could consider. It's a good one. And then another is to simply write a pitch letter of what it is you want to do, what it would be, who it would be for, why you think it would be important to them, what you think their readers would get from it. And the whole idea is you want the editor to understand that this could be something that would draw readers and draw people to be interested in this, because that's really what it's all about. Do you have something you
Vincent,
want to add?
no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Vincent, can you please repost your question? I'm not sure I'm understanding that. Phyllis says, is it okay to use a portion of a podcast that I have the authority to use it? I'm thinking she wants to republish it or something
Oh,
on her,
usually that's fine.
a
You may,
portion of it.
yeah, people do that all the time and they put it on social media. Some podcasts will ask you to sign an agreement that gives them permission to repost and to use it without any problem and then that's an opportunity for you to say, sure, I want the same. I want to do the same. And then you have that agreement. But yeah, reposting is a common thing. They want a bigger audience. That's one reason they have guests, is they want you to share it with your network so that
Yeah,
more people will be attracted to their program.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen says, award-winning articles I wrote 10 to 15 years ago are no longer accessible on the internet. The publication folded. Do I scan my copies and post on my site? And I think Wayback Machine does still exist, Mary Ellen, but yeah, so can she do that?
Well, there's not a solid answer to that. This is more of a there's pros and cons. First of all, it would depend on how it looked. So if you were posting them and they look like they're from 20 years ago, did you say 20, 10 years, 10,
10 to
20 years?
15.
Okay, 10 to 15. If it looks like it's old print stuff, and it could give the effect of saying that you aren't doing anything now, but you did 15 years ago. So that's not wonderful. What you could do is get the logos. You could still use the logos and maybe have the title of the articles. You don't have a link to the articles, but that's okay. So logos can be very powerful. Many people have them across their homepage, and some are very impressive, or across your media page would be good. So my advice would be try it, see how it looks, and then make a decision because I think you'll know. I think you'll know by how it looks. We want you to feel current and not dated. It's like clothing. You don't want to wear black stretch pants with the stirrups anymore from the 90s. Remember those?
Wait, what? I didn't get that memo.
And we want our websites to look fairly current too. That's why there isn't a solid answer. If you can get it done where it looks pretty good, then yes, do it. Otherwise, do the logos, say where you've been, and then start adding to it by getting some current things going on.
And I wouldn't do that with publications still in print because a lot of those are very litigious. I remember Entrepreneur Magazine actually pinging me because they'd featured me in an article. I proudly put that whole article scan up on my site, and they were on me within days.
Wow.
They would not allow me to do that without paying them for the right to
Oh,
do that. So beware.
yeah.
But an out of business publication.
Probably not coming after you.
No. JB says, how long before publication date should you start pitching publications and podcasts and radio and television shows? Are there resources to target the best fits for podcasts?
First of all, that's a great question and an important one because things mostly take longer than you think they will. So social media gives us this idea that everything's immediate. It's not. So, for example, podcasts, it used to be fairly current. You could get on them, but that's no longer the case overall. There are exceptions. But so to answer your question, prior to pub date, I'd start 6 months out before, believe it or not, 6 months. It's a long time. And at a minimum, 3 months before. And that's where you start with the print, the podcast, the whole thing. If you get podcasts that will drop it before your publication date, you have a conversation about that. Once you get on the show, et cetera, you start asking about when, and then you let them know in a nice way. This needs to be a mutual conversation, but it's important that this run at my publication date or right after. Is that possible? You don't want it to drop too early. I mean, it's not the end of the world if it does, because podcasts hang around. It's not the end of the world, but you want to get as much as you can on that around that publication date because it creates a momentum. So start early. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them schedule recording months ahead, right?
Oh,
They're pre-recording episodes.
this is exactly it. I've had them where the recording is 6 months out. They're going to drop it in a year. That's a long time. I get annoyed by that between you and me. But,
That's
it's the
too far.
reality.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is. When you have niche podcasts, they can set up their guests a year or two out
Yeah.
because they aren't tied to the immediacy of now. They aren't tied to something on the calendar. They aren't tied to something in the news right now. It's a topic. It's one topic. It's going to be relevant today and it's going to be relevant in a year.
Christina, I don't think we have an answer to this question. It says, how do you control the social media comments when bots and haters flood your comment section without cutting off your comments?
I don't really have an answer to that.
Yeah, there's nothing you can really do. It's just part of being a public, unfortunately. How do you know whether a media publicist reaching out to you is legit or a scam, Dinah?
Why would they be reaching out to you?
So I know exactly what she's talking about because I'm getting so many of these shared with me.
Well,
So Joanne, what's happening is a lot of, I think mostly scammers, but some legit services are reaching out to authors saying, "Oh, I read your memoir about living on a farm and it was amazing. And we'd love to help get you placed on podcast. I just got this last week.
Yeah.
We'd love to help you get placed on podcasts. You'd be a great resource. Let us know if you're interested. And then of course they're going to throw a giant price tag at you. Now, even 5 years ago, I would have said, if you want to explore it, great. But I will tell you today, I don't click on any of that. I don't think you should. I think if you want a publicist, you should go talk to a publicist or ask for recommendation within our community because this is all AI scraping your data. And what they're doing is they're finding your contact information on LinkedIn and then they're pulling a summary of your book off Amazon and they're making it look like they've read your book, they think you're amazing, they want to contact you, they want to get you placements. I wouldn't trust any of those today, sadly.
Yeah. I agree. And actually, I've been getting them too. And I've certainly had clients forward them to me saying, "What is this?" And I would agree. I don't know that all of them are scammers, but most of them have quite a price tag. They're looking for you to answer. And then they feel like they have a live one. And then they'll send you what all their terms are. I've seen it with book award things, I've seen it with other aspects of book publicity and marketing, which is all the more reason you need to be in a group where you can ask these things because you can't know on your own. There's so much going on, you can't know on your own. But when you're with like-minded people who are looking for this, information gets shared. But I'd stay away from it. I'm with Stephanie. Don't answer.
And there's impersonation. Somebody's out there impersonating me, saying we'd love to feature your book at the Nonfiction Writers Conference. I was mortified. So
Wow.
one clue for all of you, if it's coming from a Gmail account or any non-domain account, it is probably not legitimate. If it says book publicity maven at Gmail, don't respond. Please just do yourself a favor. A legitimate company is going to have their own domain in the email itself, the email address. And even they're impersonating legitimate companies. I had an author forward me that she was invited to present at this big event that Target, the retailer, was putting on. And I Google it separately. It's a legit event, but the email doesn't align. So I could tell the email address ends up being not fake. So they're even impersonating real events. It's very scary.
Yeah.
And you're asking about finding an editor for your manuscript. Go to our site, nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. Under recommended resources, we list editors, all kinds of resources there. Vincent says, Joanne said to be repetitive in posts to social media. Are you saying make it original in some way each time,
Yes.
adding to the story in effect?
Yes. Yes. You could feature a different part of the interview that you did. You could introduce it in a different way. One way I love is when you compliment the journalist or whoever it is or the podcaster and you say, "Oh, this interview was so much fun to do. I especially love the question he asked having to do with such and such." It comes in at 5 minutes in or whatever. And hopefully people will listen to the whole interview, but at least if they're intrigued by that one thing, they can go to that 5 minute mark. But see, you've engaged them. You've engaged them and you've complimented the other person. It's a way for you to say, "Hey, look at me. Look at what I did." But you're complimenting someone else. So we're all going, "Oh, that was nice of them to do that." Right?
Perfect.
It's good.
Christina's following up. I think I answered my own question. Answering the haters and potential bots off the bat about a controversial subject could be a good way to address this up front and help comment readers have a more critical eye before believing. Does that sound smart?
Oh, you mean you could comment on your own post
Or
and say
respond to
something
some
like,
of them, maybe.
yeah, you could. Yeah, you could absolutely.
Controversy is not always a bad thing. That gets people talking. Joanne, you said
That's
that in your
true.
presentation. Be contrarian.
Yes. And also, I remember Amazon, there was a day when the review section in Amazon, you could talk to each other. So if someone posted not a wonderful review about your book, maybe a 1 or 2 star or something, and then they said why, you could go in and comment on that and say something like, I'm sorry, I don't think that this book was really a fit for you because it's really targeted toward these folks, but thank you for sharing that. And so then you've let everybody else know who's reading it. Oh, they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
So they took that away, that feature. Unfortunately, I was really sad to see that go. But it's something that you could do on your social media as well. Yeah. Sorry, you don't get it.
All right, we are almost at the top of the hour. Thank you all for your great questions. Just to answer one other one from the chat, yes, this applies to both authors of traditionally published and self-published books. So,
Come and join the training. Those of you who are ready, because we're going to go in depth to these things. If you think you got a lot out of today, is it okay for me to say you can't believe what's in this training because I'm not holding anything back. I'll give you everything I got. And there's a lot going on today that would be good to know. So come join me. That's really what I'd love to have happen here.
yeah, Joanne always earns rave reviews for her courses, and we have a money back guarantee. So, we'd love to see you there. Thank you so much. Joanne, remind everyone how they can connect with you outside of this.
Yeah, my handle is Joanne McCall. It's on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the usual places we can meet there. And my email is joanne@joannemccall.com. And I'd love to hear from you. You might have questions or whatever. That's fine. Let me know.
Course dates. Course starts August. It starts next week.
Next week, next Tuesday.
August 11th. Yes, I'm looking at a paper calendar, folks.
18th. The
On my
18th it
notes, the
starts.
18th. So Tuesday, and it'll be Tuesdays, 6 weeks. On Tuesdays, somebody mentioned they're traveling for two of the classes. You don't need to attend live. It's great to attend live. It's an opportunity to connect, but not everyone can attend all the live sessions. You get the recordings, the transcripts the same day, or recording the slides, excuse me. And Joanne creates great handouts. And no, Deirdre, it won't repeat until next year. This course is live only once a year. This is the only chance to attend live with Joanne. So
And we have the
you're gonna
Facebook
miss
group.
them. Yeah, and there's a Facebook group you can connect there too.
Yeah.
And we have students who can't make any lives but still register.
Yes.
So you can be part of the Facebook group, get all the handouts. Joanne updates the course every year. So it's really
And
worth your time.
I give a lot of gifts. Let me just say that.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Surprise gifts.
She's gifty.
I love
I'm
to
a
do
gifty too. Giving gifts is one of my love languages.
that. I sent you succulents
You
once.
did. I have the most beautiful plant that Joanne, she's probably not going to mail you gifts like succulents,
No.
but she does give a lot of bonus gifts in her courses. So you're getting some great feedback in the comments. Thank you all. We love your feedback and appreciate you spending time with us today. Recording and slides will be in your inbox this afternoon, and we just appreciate you all. Thank you, Joanne. Wonderful as always.
Bye
Thank
all.
you. Have a great
Thank
day,
you.
everyone. We appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending this webinar by the Nonfiction Authors Association. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you need support navigating the complexities of the publishing industry and want to reach your author goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com.